Got both mics on?
Yep.
Okay.
Good evening. Good evening. Being 7 p.m., I'll call to order the McHenry County Board regular meeting of June 18th, 2024, and Mr. Reinert will lead us in the pledge tonight.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And for our invocation this evening, we have Pastor Carrie Hughes from Living Grace Community Church in Cary.
Would you pray with me? God our Father, we thank you that your grace has called us to this place. And Lord, how quick we are to forget that important truth. Lord, I thank you for every man and woman in this room. And we thank you that your word teaches us that we are all divine image bearers of who you are. And Lord, I pray that your light would shine among us tonight. I pray that you would pour out fresh power and that you would pour out your presence. I thank you for each leader here tonight. I pray that you would give them wisdom to know what to say and how to say it. And I pray that you would give them wisdom to make the right decisions that would honor you and honor the fine people of McHenry County. Lord, we thank you that we can lean on you. And I pray that we would not lean on our own understanding, but that we would lean upon you. So Lord, I pray that you would speak. I pray that our hearts would be encouraged. I pray that we would walk away from tonight's meeting celebrating your love and your faithfulness to us in Jesus. And Lord, I pray that you would do what only you can do, and that's to show up and transform hearts. We pray this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Okay, clerk, could you call the roll, please?
Altoff. Campbell. Gadamuller. Greeno. Hendricks. Kaminsky. Kearns. Kunkel. Meshes. Ness.
Here.
Reinert.
here.
Sager.
Here.
Shorten. Scala.
Present.
Smith.
Here.
Van Hoff.
Present.
Von Bergen. Wagner. 16 present, appears 2 remote.
Okay. Having a quorum, I'll entertain a motion to allow Mr. Sager and Ms. Ness to attend remotely. Ms. Altoff makes the motion. Ms. Greeno seconds. All in favor say aye. Aye. Against? Welcome. Next, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda. Mr. Scala makes the motion. Mr. Gadamuller seconds. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of previous meetings. Ms. Altoff makes the motion. Mr. Gadamuller seconds. Any discussion or changes? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Motion carries. Good evening. I hope you all had a great Father's Day weekend. On a lighter note, thank you to county board members, county staff, and everyone else in attendance for braving the swarms of 17-year cicadas buzzing around the county administration building to conduct the public's business. While this rare wonder of nature is something to behold, and county staff have been beholding it every day, courtesy of the surrounding woods, I won't miss the cicadas hitching a ride on our clothes indoors or decorating our windshields as we drive. And to all the homeowners who have had to listen to the millions of cicadas chattering all day for the past month, we feel your pain. I'm happy to report the county board that the 5th annual Operation Dropbox donation drive for veterans was a spectacular success. Over the month of May, the generous people of McHenry County donated 8,283 pounds of goods, and that blows last year's record of 5,466 pounds out of the water. And I can vouch for that weight. It was my pleasure to again offer the free use of my scale from my business to weigh this year's haul. Speaking of records, 87 county organizations and businesses hosted drop boxes this year. That's almost triple the 31 that did so last year. And last week, all 4+ tons of the donations were delivered to Veterans Path to Hope in Crystal Lake. Thank you to the Department of Health for another successful Operation Dropbox, and thank you as well to the Division of Transportation for picking up and delivering the goods, the volunteers of the Health Department's Medical Reserve Corps for sorting them, and the VAC of McHenry County as well. I hope all of you have a wonderful and safe Independence Day weekend and enjoy the Juneteenth holiday tomorrow. And as a reminder, all county offices will be closed for the holiday. And please keep in mind that the committee meeting schedule for the first week of July will be different. And let's all come back ready to work because the budget development process for the fiscal year 2025 county budget will begin in earnest. And that concludes my report. Proceed to members' comments. Do any member comments tonight? Ms. Greeno?
Yes, Member Kearns was happily shared with us a wonderful event last week with his wedding ring being returned from a local playground. And this week, the very next day, I received in the mail from a wonderful citizen of McHenry County a check that we had dropped in a parking lot for a significant amount of money, and they had popped it in the mail, wrote a note, and mailed it back to us. I mean, we have some really great people in this county. We're very thankful.
Mr. Kaminsky?
Again, like to give a shout out to the Sheriff's Department. A week ago, it was noticed that the Purple Heart flag was kind of worn and tarred, needed to be replaced. So they replaced it with a brand new, healthy, proud to fly Purple Heart on their flagpole within less than a week. Kudos for them for the past action.
Ms. Van Hoff?
Yes, thank you. As Chairman Bueller mentioned, tomorrow is the Juneteenth holiday, and I'd like to read you a little something about Juneteenth for those of you who are unaware of what the holiday signifies. Juneteenth marks the day in 1865 when 250,000 enslaved blacks in Texas were told that they were free. Although President Abraham Lincoln had issued the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863, proclaiming freedom for all individuals who were enslaved in rebellious states, the South refused to obey the order. Many Confederate states forced enslaved blacks to migrate further west to Texas in order to prevent Union troops from enforcing the order of emancipation. Some enslaved blacks chose the distraction of war to escape north to freedom. Others were recruited to fight for the Union. And a smaller number of enslaved persons fought for the South after being promised that they would be given their freedom or ordered to do so. When the Great Civil War that had divided the nation ended on April 9th, 1865, Union troops were dispatched throughout the Confederacy to liberate all enslaved blacks in Confederate states. On June 19th, 1865, Union troops led by U.S. Army General Gordon Granger marched into Galveston and enforced the order of abolition for all enslaved individuals being held in the Confederate States. Less than 6 months later, on December 6, 1865, the 13th Amendment was ratified, abolishing slavery in all the United States, including Kentucky and Delaware. Thank you.
Ms. Campbell?
Thank you. I just wanted to do a shout out for Naturally McHenry County for their annual dinner. It was a fantastic evening that was not only locally and ethically sourced, but it was environmentally friendly as well. You can check out the Facebook posts to learn more about the different businesses and organizations that contributed to this incredible event. I know we had the executive director of the Environmental Defenders and one of their board members behind the scenes doing all the composting and recycling for the event. I do want to highlight that our Conservation District sites with natural areas and recreational activities, along with our historical and cultural amenities, agricultural resources, and robust community of McHenry-made products of all types provide for unique tourism opportunities and are critical components to a robust local economy. The protection of these resources and the support of our local businesses is paramount. Thank you.
Okay, this is a public meeting, and I would hope that you would respect the process and please refrain from a pause. It is a little bit distracting. Ms. Wegner?
Thank you. I thought I heard Lou too, just so you know. First, I want to thank the Sheriff's Office for adding more information into their monthly report. The additional information really helps us fill the gaps and understand what the current data lies in relation to the annual numbers. Second, kind of on a personal note, my mom found a tick on her a couple weeks ago. And about a week after it was found, she started having some headaches, which over a few days progressed to a fever and eventually sepsis. After some extensive blood tests and 4 days in the hospital, they finally diagnosed her with a tick-borne disease. And today on day 7, she's still in the hospital. So the reason I'm telling you this is not for sympathy. It's because I want to relay that first, we need to be careful of ticks, and that not all tick-borne diseases have that Lyme bullseye. Some are silent. So please take this very seriously. Use tick and bug spray when you go outside, because I know this year is a terrible year for ticks. And if you have a tick attached to your skin, then call the doctor. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to special recognition, I will entertain a motion to approve item 9A, proclamation declaring June 2024 as LGBTQ+ Pride Month throughout McHenry County. Ms. Meshes makes the motion, Ms. Wegner seconds. Ms. Greeno?
I make a motion to replace the proclamation with the proclamation that was submitted at the writing of Board Member Brian Sager.
Second that motion. Mr. Kunkel seconds. Any discussion on the motion to amend?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And I know that, I just want to make sure that the technology is working, because I believe Brian wanted to make a comment too. So,
He is online. As
Great.
the hands come up, I will call
Okay.
whoever wishes to speak.
great. I just want to commend Member Sager for using his experience in public office and his understanding that this is a significant proclamation, that it needs to be positive and uplifting. And the previous proclamation was an indictment, a prosecution, and a conviction of the citizens and residents of McHenry County. That's not the purpose of a proclamation. And so the hope here was that this was something that we could all be united on and recognize the significance of this recognition.
Ms. Wegner?
Thank you. 2 weeks ago, I attended the Pride Parade, and people of all ages, faiths, colors, and genders were there to celebrate what makes this country great and county great, a variety of perspectives, talents, and experiences. Being diverse, inclusive and diverse ultimately leads to a stronger and more resilient and more vibrant community. I applaud Woodstock and Crystal Lake for celebrating Pride this month. Unfortunately, there are some that deem portions of our society unacceptable. And as much as we want to say that McHenry County residents accept and hold judgment on those who are different than they are, we would be denying the truth. This past week, I've seen comments, read emails, and heard people filled with judgment, hostility, and discrimination aimed at those who support Pride and or members who are part of the LGBTQIA community. I want to stress that Pride and celebration of inclusiveness is not political. It crosses all religions, all races, and all parties. We have to remember that there are people who are in the LGBTQIA community in this room and have children or relatives who are part of that community. And Pride Month is about showing each individual that they can be accepted just as they are. Inclusion for each and every one of our McHenry County residents. McHenry County should accept everyone. It should be a safe place for everyone. And that's what we should all strive for. But this feeling and safety of acceptance for those who have differences or feel different still needs work in our county. That's why the original proclamation was written as it was, to show how far we've come so we don't repeat the history of discrimination in the country. So here's the thing. We don't have to understand people in order to accept them or love them. As Christians, we say, love thy neighbor, even if it's difficult. And this may test your faith, but that's what makes us human and faithful beings. So I call on all the board members to stand up and vote yes to the original proclamation that is currently on the agenda. Thanks.
Ms. Altoff.
Might I ask an indulgence? We've seen the original proclamation because it was posted. Could somebody, perhaps Ms. Greeno, as she's here, read the proposed replacement so that we know what we're voting on?
Sure. Ms. Greeno.
Yes. Proclamation recognizing June 2024 is Pride Month throughout McHenry County. Whereas June is recognized as Pride Month throughout the United States, state of Illinois, and McHenry County, and whereas Pride Month offers a unique and significant opportunity to affirm and uphold the rights of all to freedom of choice and sexual orientation, and whereas Pride Month further upholds the ideal that LGBTQ plus residents of McHenry County, as all residents, have the right to live their lives with freedom from fear of harassment, exclusion, educational, housing, or employment bias, and whereas McHenry County is an inviting, inclusive, and engaging county without regard to race, color, religion, gender, or sexual orientation, now therefore be it proclaimed, McHenry County, Illinois recognizes June as Pride Month here, as it is in the state of Illinois and throughout the United States, and upholds the rights of our LGBTQ plus residents to freedom of sexual orientation without fear of overt prejudice. And be it further proclaimed that the McHenry County Board proclaims June 2024 as Pride Month in order to acknowledge the opportunity for all individuals in McHenry County to proudly enjoy life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The county clerk is hereby authorized to distribute and certify a copy of the proclamation to the county administrator, the county board chair, and the director of human resources, dated at Woodstock, Illinois, this 18th day of June, AD 2024.
Thank you, Ms. Greeno. Ms. Ness?
So here are some words that have been tossed out through some of our correspondence. Uncouth, divisive, violation of traditional Christian lifestyles, forcing us to celebrate sin. You are haters, smearing lies, disgust, sexual perversion month, perverting our children, groomers. The county should not support sexual preference fantasies. One letter slammed fat people, saying, are we now going to celebrate Fat People's Month? Perversion, 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 and abomination. But the one that really got me, they didn't do anything extraordinary. Actually, those words stopped me, because I will tell you, swimming in the sea of heterosexism, of your underlying hate and bias, staying afloat is extraordinary to me. I was not going to write a proclamation for Pride Month. When asked, I said no, which was why Member Wagner put it forth. I took heat from some of my Democratic friends, and there was some name calling and finger pointing at me. Yet most people, yes, most people in our community would not agree with the language included in the letters sent by members of the We the People group. Their tone was hateful, discriminatory, exclusive, and mean-spirited. The attacks on members of the LGBTQIA+ community and anyone who is viewed as an ally to someone in that community does not reflect traditional Christian values. Your words say one thing, but they mean another. So I'm curious, in the new proposed proclamation, you suggest that people are able to live free from overt prejudice. What about covert prejudice, which is more commonly alive in this county? In case I have not been clear, choosing who you choose to be is not always about sex. Gender is psychological, sex is physical. The art of becoming is tainted by the world around us and its stereotypes and its biases and its hate. So fighting for your identity in this county and in the country and in the world is really quite extraordinary. I would never tell Member Van Hoff that her experiences as a Black woman were not true or that she was wrong. I'm not a Black person. I don't have the authority or the right to do that. And so a straight person cannot tell me about my experiences around discrimination or bias as a queer person. It's not possible, and quite frankly, it's disrespectful to even allude that you can do that. Unless you live in my skin, you can't tell me what my experiences are. So I want to just say to you that last year after my proclamation, people called me privately to thank me. They didn't want to do it publicly. People stopped by in the privacy of my home to tell me about their child because they were afraid to do it publicly. So, Member Greeno, perhaps you haven't witnessed that because nobody will stop by and tell you that, because maybe you're not a stand for the LGBTQI+ community. You can hide your words behind the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and all.
Members of the LGBTQ+ community are valued and supported here in McHenry County. I respect the opinions of the public and understand that we will not always agree. I was extremely disappointed and disheartened at the level of intense animosity of many of the letters that we received, and frustrated by receiving this amended resolution at the 11th hour. There was no opportunity to weigh in, as this afternoon we were heading into a long-planned open house over at our circuit court. So I am a no to the amended version, and I feel that we should be passing the original resolution as presented.
Ms. Meshes?
Thank you. I will never be an ally. I look out at our public, and I read the emails today from people, and I'll never be a good ally to those of you who are not heterosexual and not typical of what we think should be a county resident. I'll never be a good ally for those who email me today talking about how we shouldn't encourage this illness and this disease and this sin. So the question now is, who can I serve better? Where is the better good? Where's the greater good? And the greater good is to say, if your family can't feel good enough in your eyes because you can't accept them, you need a proclamation as was originally written. You need to know that whatever is in your heart that makes you think they're sick, not good enough, you need to know that the county supports them and people around here support them. I think it is terribly upsetting that we take what should be a celebratory proclamation, a ceremonial proclamation, and just turn it into a painful moment in this moment in the county. So whether you're people in the public who are going to speak today are going to speak about how they don't want us to proclaim Pride Month at all, or whether they're going to talk about how we should be better allies and understand the hatred out there, we're not going to serve you well on this board today because we've already hurt you. Whichever way you're on, you're already hurt. You're already upset. So I'm not gonna vote on any proclamation, actually, because I'm pretty sure that we're not gonna keep the original. And even if we did, it's causing pain for the county. Chairman Bueller can put forth whatever proclamation he likes on behalf of the county board. I support that as his role. This is terribly sad. This is not a moment of pride for anybody.
Seeing no further comment, we will put the motion to a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against?
Nay.
Motion carries. Motion carries. Any further discussion on the original motion as now amended? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Nay.
Motion carries. Next, I'll entertain a motion to approve the proclamation honoring Cheryl Shuku for her outstanding service to McHenry County. Mr. Gottemoller makes the motion, Mr. Smith seconds. We read this Tuesday night, so we'll just take it to a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to zoning petitions, do any members have items they'd like to remove from the zoning consent agenda? Mr. Kearns.
Just to register our votes of opposition, 10A1, A3, A6, the solar farms, and we can combine those together to vote on those.
Let's not combine them. No, separately.
Mr. Smith?
10B1. Oh, I'm sorry, that's on the regular agenda. I'll be pulling that.
Okay. I will entertain a motion to approve the zoning consent agenda, less items 10A1, 10A3, and 10A6. Ms. Altoff makes the motion. Ms. Greeno seconds. Clerk, when you're ready, could you open the voting?
It's open.
Voting is open. Have all voted who wish?
Wilson Soccer. Yes.
Ms. Ness, how would you like to be shown? Ms. Ness, you might have this on mute.
I'm not showing her on the screen.
Mr. Sager, how would you like to be shown?
Yes.
Motion carries. We'll move to the items removed. Mr. Kearns, you wish to make a motion to combine those three items?
10A1, 10A3, 10A6, okay to
Is there a way to do that?
Do we have a second?
Not quickly. It'll be a minute. Second.
Mr. Sager seconds.
It'd be easier to just do these independently than to wait for me to set this up.
Okay.
Wanna
Would
do
you
that
be
one?
open to a friendly amendment to take them one at a time? It'll be quicker to do that than for him to set it up.
Sure.
10A1. Mr. Scala makes that motion, seconded by Mr. Shorten. Sorry about
Voting?
that. Yep. Voting is open. Have all voted who wish?
Yeah.
Mr. Sager, how would you like to be shown?
Yes.
Motion carries. Next, I'll entertain a motion to approve item 10A3. Mr. Scala makes the motion, Ms. Wegner seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, clerk, could you open the voting?
Voting's open.
Voting is open. Have all voted who wish?
Mr. Sager, how would you like to be shown?
Yes.
Motion carries. Next, I'll entertain a motion to approve item 10A6. Mr. Scala makes the motion, seconded by Mr. Gottemoller. Any discussion? Seeing none, clerk, could you open the voting?
Voting's open.
Voting is open. Have all voted who wish?
Mr. Sager, how would you like to be shown?
Yes.
Motion carries. Next, we'll move to the regular zoning agenda. Entertain a motion to approve item 10B1. Mr. Gottemoller, seconded by Ms. Greeno. Mr. Smith, did you want to discuss?
I'm sorry, yeah, I don't have anything to say than what was spoken at the cow, and I think staff did a good explanation of explaining the situation there where the part of the request was approved and the other part wasn't for the time period of 1 week instead of the 3 days that is currently the rules. So I will not be supporting this petition.
Okay, and just a reminder that this requires a 3/4 vote to pass. Seeing no further comment, clerk, could you open the voting, please?
Voting's open.
Voting is open. Have all voted who wish?
Mr. Sager, how would you like to be shown?
No.
Thank you.
Motion does not carry. Next, we will move on to public comment. Just a reminder, this is your opportunity to address the board. You will have 3 minutes in which to speak. At that time, the light will come on in front of me. If you have not completed your statement, I would ask you to summarize. And first we have up is Nicole Nisus. Did you wish to speak, Ms. Nisus?
Yes.
Come on up.
Hi, board. I wish that I was maybe able to speak beforehand, before the vote, but that's okay. I am going to address you because I would still like to do this event. So I would 11 days. Is it 5 days? Do I look into doing something else? You know, is this, if it was for charity, would that matter? You know, looking into alternate ways to have this. It was mentioned last week that I did not make considerations to the neighbors, but I just didn't fit that in my 3 minutes. What I did do is I went around to all the neighbors, I knocked on the doors, I spoke to everybody. I do know that there are 2 neighbors that oppose. I tried 3 times to reach them and was unsuccessful. I did send an email to you all today. I did receive a letter from one of the neighbors who was who lives next door to the one who emailed a statement before the hearing officers meeting, and he is in support. Both him and his wife, they actually look forward to the event every year, and they had a party one year and tried to go and watch some of the events, which typically this is an event that's not open to the public. If they do want to watch, we do direct them to go to our YouTube channel to watch it. It's not an event that is very noisy and loud. We are filming, so really the only people who are allowed to speak are the contestants. So when we are filming, it's quiet on set. There is one party, and it is on Saturday, but that's not something that would be unreasonable for my father to host a pool party on his own. So it's nothing different than that. The noise is no more than what you would find at a pool party. So I do just want to, say in addition that one of the other considerations that we made last year, we hired a helicopter, and I know that this was one of the reasons why I'm sure you received a lot of calls, just in concern for the noise and what is this helicopter? We are not doing that moving forward, so that's a big consideration that we've made. And setup and takedown of this event is nothing significant. We clean the property, we set up a couple tables. The challenges are set up an hour before they happen, and the challenges are like a tug of war or a puzzle that we need to set up. It's nothing, there's no big permanent structures that's there all week. In addition, the amount of people that we have, it's 20 contestants. They're the ones sleeping in the woods. When they get voted out, they leave the property. So as the week goes on, it's less and less people out there. And then the production members, we had 26 people last year helping, and they're helping with filming, making sure everyone is safe and well considered. So thank you so much. I hope this is not the last time you see my face, and I hope that I can host this event in the future.
Thank you. I'm going to take one out of order here today because it's not the majority of what these comments are about here today. So Courtney Behrens?
Hello, I'm Courtney Behrens. I'm with Options and Advocacy. This is my Executive Director, Winter Know. I wanted to provide you an update with the ARPA grant that we received. The program is called Neuro-Inclusive Counseling. NIC, for short, very long name, has been supporting a variety of clients that identify as neurodivergent. And they're also navigating mental health concerns. We have clients now, ages range from 4 years old to 50 years old. So we do lifespan. Recently, we started our credentialing process, and we're actually collecting data on our current clients. Majority of our clients receive Medicaid and require scholarships and adjustments of fees for financial reasons. We are having more clients that are navigating mental health and that are in need of significant case management support. We are having a large population of autistic adults come through our neuro-inclusive counseling program, who are also requiring additional case management and referrals out for entitlements, advocacy, as well as also understanding the intersectionality of their identity, in addition to therapy. We are also seeing an increase in neurodivergent couples coming in for therapy, whole families as well, requesting therapeutic supports from our therapists. Clients are typically seen weekly. Our full-time therapists have a minimum of roughly 15 clients. We are getting about 5 to 10 calls per week for services, some which we are able to support and some which we refer out. The complexity of our clients has increased significantly, requiring a higher level of supervision for all of my staff that I supervise and our interns. Some of our clients are highly involved in other systems such as DCFS, probation, adult protective services, PHP, IOP as well. These individuals that we're supporting are also coming in with complex diagnosis in addition to system barriers, requiring staff to continually think outside of the scope of traditional therapy to establish a continuum of supports. Some of the local places that we're getting referrals for are Woodstock, the mental health court, colleges, schools, and doctors. Just wanted to kind of give you an update of the program. I did bring some brochures and some information as well. And one of the really great things and aspects that I'm honored to be able to be a part of as the program manager is that many of my therapists are also neurodivergent. So they are supporting individuals that are neurodivergent and they've lived through various diagnoses as well. So thank you.
Michael Mises?
Hello, I'm Mike Mises. I'm the property owner on Nichols Ave. I should have spoke Tuesday, so I'm gonna kind of amend what I was going to say. I thought we were gonna be able to speak before the vote. But I grew up in McHenry County, unincorporated. I enjoy all the things we love to do out in unincorporated zoned agriculture. I love snowmobiling, motorcycles, dirt bikes, ATVs. I bought my property 25 years ago, so my kids could enjoy the property and enjoy all the things that I love. I never had any problems until recently. And I'm disappointed that a couple complaints from nosy neighbors can sway a decision to disallow many people to have fun and to disallow me from enjoying my own property. The main complainer, he called the police on me on a Wednesday at 7 o'clock in the evening. Police showed up. They said, "Are you having a party?" I said, "Well, if you call me, my girlfriend, my son, and his girlfriend a party, yeah, we're having a rager." I'm like, "What's the problem?" "Well, we had a noise complaint." I asked the officer on my front porch, can you hear the music? He said, no, sir, I can't, but I have to show up. That's the type of guy this guy is. We were sitting by a little fire on the deck with music in the background, just calmly talking. It wasn't even loud. But this is what I had to deal with, because this guy moved in 5 years ago from wherever, and he's trying to change our community and take away our freedoms and our fun. That's all I have to say.
Nick Robinson.
Good evening, members of the board. I'll be speaking on behalf of Nicole and Mike Nisus about the Survivor show that's been going on the past 2 years. 2 years ago, I was a contestant where I made 4th place out of 17 individuals. When I was a boy, I used to love to play in the woods. My friends and I would build shelters, eat berries, and of course make campfires. Of the opinion that any conversation had is made better by a campfire. When I was a cadet at the United States Air Force Academy, I had to undergo survival training that replicated what a downed pilot would go through if they were stranded in enemy territory. This included foraging for food, evading enemies, and what to do if captured. From this experience, I learned it was not the environment that proved to be the most dangerous, but rather the enemy that meant to do you harm. And while I prayed throughout that I would never find myself in a survival scenario, part of me deep down wanted to know how I would do if I found myself in one. Similar to how maybe a firefighter trained to put out fires still hopes they never encounter one. With this experience, I was very excited when I was accepted to be a contestant in this Survive game show. I thought this might be a chance to prove myself. And while it was nowhere near the intensity of my training, I was still pushed to my physical limit, forced to rely on my resourcefulness, and surrounded by individuals who did not have my best interest in mind and wanted to vote me out. Throughout this experience, I not only survived, but I excelled. I pulled off many tricks, won multiple physical competitions, and made some of my best friends. Some of them will speak to you later tonight. Individuals I never would have met if it weren't for this event. This was a life-changing week for me, as it was for everyone involved. I asked the board to see this as more than just a game, but rather a way for people to find a community that they never would have before. I thank you for your time.
Phil Lucio.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Bill. I'd like to start off by thanking the board members for taking the time to listen to us speak today. I'd also like to thank you for the ability that you give us to continue to discuss how we can create safer spaces in your community. Even now in 2024, people within the LGBTQ community, as well as those from other underrepresented groups, often do not feel welcomed, supported, or even celebrated within their own community settings. So to be here today to talk about the incredible dedication that the Survive event staff has to creating a diverse and inclusive space for fans of the Survivor television series is an absolute honor. While the people who compete in this event do come from all over, the production team and cast all belong to a larger group of fans who put on events like this throughout other cities in the United States seamlessly. My colleagues and I work really, really hard to provide these fans with unique opportunities that allow them, just like Nick, to test their physical, mental, and social abilities in ways they would have never been presented to before. CBS, the entertainment company that produces the actual television show Survivor, recently made the commitment to ensure that not only the people who work for their production company, but the folks who play their games are representative of underrepresented groups So when people within the LGBTQ community and people from underrepresented groups see this event taking place in your beautiful community, and they see these people like them on TV shows and know that they have a space in McHenry County to do this, they flock to the city to play this game, to test their skills in this silly little television show that we all love. We are helping our players and our production team build a community with other folks from different races, sexes, sexual orientations, gender identities, ages, and cultural backgrounds. And it's so magical to see the love that they have for the show transition into a love for each other. By allowing the Survive event to take place in the county of McHenry, you can all put your words into actions, showcasing that not only do you value diversity, equity, and inclusion in your educational, political, and professional spaces, but also on really cool, super safe, and incredibly welcoming property right here in your beautiful backyard. I wish you could continue to help us foster safe spaces for fans of this silly little television show, provide an entertaining week for its fans, and invite even more visitors into your beautiful city. Thank you.
Joe Panic?
Okay. Good evening, Board Chairman Bueller. I'm here speaking on behalf of the item 10-1B, on behalf of Nicole and the Survive Project. I'm a lifelong resident of McHenry, City of McHenry, and obviously McHenry County. I'm also a local business owner. I've opened 3 entertainment-oriented businesses in the City of McHenry. I became involved with this project mainly because I believe in Nicole and how well put together this whole thing has been. I know the behind the scenes of the actual CBS show, and it's really not short of that on how many T's she's crossed and I's she's dotted. I got involved mainly for the media side of things because it is all video recorded and live streamed on YouTube, and that's kind of how I was approached to be involved in it. It's been an amazing experience. I didn't compete in it like Nick had, but it was just amazing to see people from all over the country and even a couple people from out of the country have this one of a kind experience and forge these friendships that are probably lifelong. I was kind of worried that there was a potential misunderstanding of this project because under the temporary event category, it kind of seemed like it was put in with the category that the McHenry County Fair may have, and again, as mentioned earlier, it is a very, I consider it more of a private event. It's a very limited number of people, 18 to 20. There isn't traffic, there isn't loud music, or it's not like a rodeo or backyard wrestling, or as Mike mentioned earlier, a party. It's really just an experience for these people who have put forth their time and energy and money to find what's inside themselves that they maybe didn't know was there. So I'm no stranger to zoning and how all this stuff works through the businesses I've opened. Again, the neighbors, as Mike mentioned, I'm not sure where these complaints are or where they're coming from, but I can personally assure that this thing is so well put together and so safe for the people involved. Everything's transparent. You can go on and watch exactly what happens as it's happening. There isn't, again, it's not open to the public. It's not like people can just show up. You have the one neighbor that may want to check it out from his deck. Otherwise, it's also not something that's profitable for Nicole. I mean, she puts a lot of her own money into it, and it's pretty much for the sake of providing these people that are coming into our community from outside this unforgettable experience. Again, as others mentioned, we're under the impression we may be able to offer public comment before the vote. We're doing this after. I just hope that we can maybe meet in the middle somewhere, find a path forward, whether it's an amendment to add a K section of a temporary event, because as Mike said, it sets an interesting precedent on what we can do in our own backyards and that kind of concern.
Summarize your comments, please.
Yes. Yeah, in conclusion, I just hope that we can find a way forward to make this happen because I know everybody involved in it is going to want to continue pursuing it. So, thank you.
Lane Barrett.
Good evening, board members. I am Lane Barrett. I am cousin to Nicole. I've been with her on this event since the moment she had the idea to do this. It actually conspired in her dad's pool. She's the biggest fan of Survivor that I know, and I just couldn't say no to helping her. She mentioned when she came up here that a neighbor sent an email, and I would like to read that to you all today. Dear board members, my wife and I live at the back of the property directly behind where the game is held. The McHenry Survive game and production have been run with great professionalism and with concern to have as little effect on the neighbors as possible. The organizers, especially Nicole, have always been in direct contact, letting us know what to expect. We have actually grown to look forward to watching these events from our deck. It is great to see such an inclusive event bring people from all different backgrounds from all over the globe to come together to just have a little bit of fun. We see this as such a positive time, which more is needed. We would love to see the continued growth of the event and feel it will definitely bring more good to our community than any negative effects. We highly encourage you to approve their request. Thank you for your time, Dan and Kim. I would like to follow this up with another letter from McHenry Alderman Frank McClatchy. I am writing to express my enthusiastic support for the show Survive. As a recent contestant, I had an incredible opportunity to participate in this dynamic and engaging competition. My experience on the show was nothing short of extraordinary, and I am deeply impressed by the high level of organization, creativity, and professionalism demonstrated by the entire production team. I am particularly proud of how Survive showcases our vibrant community. The show not only provides thrilling entertainment for the viewers, but also highlights McHenry as a city filled with spirit, resilience, and camaraderie. The exposure and recognition that Survive brings to McHenry is invaluable. This kind of visibility has the potential to boost local tourism, support our economy, and inspire other creative projects in our city. I wholeheartedly support Survive and its continued production. Sincerely, Frank McClatchy. I would also like to highlight a few of these thank you notes from our contestants from season 1, who came from all over the globe, including Australia and Canada.
Summarize your comments, please.
I just wanted to add this here. Your passion for the game is infectious. It's reflected in its players, the production, and was to the core of the entire experience. Thank you.
Alicia Camara.
Good evening, everyone. I am here in support of my friend Nicole and an event that has truly stolen my heart. Before I experienced the Survive game, I didn't know anything like this existed. I was very skeptical, and it sounded strange to me, but 2 years ago, I showed up to just support my friend. And what I discovered was nothing short of awe-inspiring. My eyes were open to an astonishing experience, and I watched a community of people become a family. And this family would not be possible. It would not exist without Nicole. She's been my best friend for almost 30 years, and I can truly say I don't think I knew her until I understood her passion for this game. So many of us walk through life without ever finding a passion. We check the boxes. We just let it pass us by and never deviate from the path that we set forward for ourselves as young adults. We're too afraid of that, but not Nicole. She dares to be different and marches to the beat of her own drum, and with this game, we're finally able to march with her. With this game, she has touched not only the lives of the people who've played, as Nick showed you, as Frank mentioned in that letter, but people like me who are just lucky enough to show up and help. If anyone in this room is as passionate, is half as passionate as we are about this game, consider yourselves lucky. And if not, then I encourage you to find something. Life is not worth living without passion and a community to share it with. You may think this game is silly, unimportant, and a nuisance to the neighborhood, but I can promise you it is none of those things. This game is something special, and to be a part of it is something special. On the surface, it's an event with a handful of people sleeping in the woods and playing yard games. But it is made extraordinary by the heart and soul that is put into this by every contestant and production member that shows up there. You can't vote yes today because some of you already didn't, but in the future, to figure out how to put this game on, if you vote yes, you are becoming a part of something extraordinary. You're supporting something bigger than yourselves, this community who has become such a family, and I can't believe that I get to be a part of this community every day, and I can't
Summarize your comments, please.
I can't believe that I get to call this incredible woman my best friend. Please consider voting yes in the future.
Karina Sack.
Hello, everyone. My name's Karina Sack. I am a born and raised McHenry County bisexual woman and proud mom of a pansexual daughter. And I am here tonight in support of the original proclamation. I'm very saddened that the amendment went through. I think it's a disgrace. I owned Uprising Bakery, and I lived the actual hatred and the vitriol that is growing here in McHenry County. Pride Month and the proclamation set forth during Pride Month should be a celebration and should set a precedence of supporting an inclusive and diverse environment for all of us to be living in, but also denounce the hatred and the discrimination and everything else that comes along with it. And with this new watered down proclamation, that is not what we are doing. As a McHenry County citizen, lifelong McHenry County citizen, I'm very saddened that that passed. I am very grateful for those of you who voted against it, though. Thank you for representing us and fighting for us when the rest of you wouldn't. In November, please remember to vote with pride.
Belinda Baxter.
Hi, my name is Belinda Baxter. I'm here to speak on the Pride Proclamation that we did, that you guys just voted for the watered down version. I am a McHenry County resident of 15 years. I am proud to say that I've not only lived in McHenry County because I have experienced other communities. What you've done tonight is a slap in the face to people of the LGBTQ communities. I would remind you that I am a voter in this county, and I will work hard to find people for this board who will be supportive of all members of this community and not just they're just supporting the people that they like or that go to their church. So that's my statement. I'm truly sorry that you had to pass a watered down version of something as simple as a proclamation to support a community. Thank you.
John Collins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I sat over there tonight, saddened
by the cowardice showed by the majority of this county board tonight in regard to the Pride Proclamation. At last week's COW meeting, only one person spoke against the proclamation. One person. And the COW meeting is supposed to be the opportunity for board members to discuss and debate issues that there's differences on. And not a single board member who voted against the original proclamation took that opportunity at the COW meeting. Instead, you waited till tonight to ambush the original proclamation because of your fear of what your possible constituents might say. At that board meeting, or at the COW meeting, the one board member who spoke about the history, tried to minimize the history of discrimination and tolerance faced by the LGBT community in this county by insisting that their observations, their personal experiences, and their personal work experiences somehow made them an expert on this issue, and that language calling out the discrimination and intolerance faced by the LGBTQ+ community was not necessary. That's pure hubris on the part of that board member. You see, it is not uncommon for those who are intolerant or fearful of how others may choose to lead their lives to frame their personal experiences, and I say personal experiences, as facts. By framing this way, they give credulence to their statements, making them appear to be factual, when in fact they are not. History, both past and present, is full of examples of the intolerance, hate, and discrimination that is exhibited towards the LGBT community. This county has a history of those issues, starting with the fear-mongering over the Gay Olympics in Crystal Lake back in 2006, to the hateful words and actions of the community over the Uprising Bakery, to the recent death threats given to the people in Woodstock over the Gay Pride Parade. And currently there are 6 bills in the Illinois House, sponsored by Republicans, that seek to limit the rights of LGBTQ+ people. I submit that if one is fearful over the wording that calls into account the intolerance and hateful actions of that are exhibited toward the LGBT community, they should look in the mirror and seek to better themselves. Thank you.
Lisa Arvanites.
I'm Lisa Arvanites, and I'm a 29-year resident of McHenry County. I'm a member of the LGBTQIA community, and I'm also a feminist that looks at the world with an intersectional view. I've become a little concerned with the difficulty I perceive with proclamations in McHenry County. It seemed once upon a time ago we were moving forward. I see a pattern. On March 14th, Ms. Greeno, you opposed a proclamation to honor Women's History Month. You felt it was not the business of the board to engage in divisive identity politics that single out a segment of our population while ignoring another, and you then divisively called the content dogma of the far left, associated the DEI to Herbert Marcus, who was labeled as a communist, and his love of Nazi regime ideas on equality that oppose our US Constitution. I'm amused a little bit, not in a mean way, that you may not realize that in 2020, President Donald Trump issued a proclamation in Women's History Month. He also understood the honor that he held in raising public awareness a second time when he issued the proclamation on Women's Equality Day. I felt that you were trying to erase the experience of women. And then a part of your argument was an interpretation by a Christian writer. It really is true that American historian Laurel Thatcher Ulrich is a feminist, and her view is intersectional. I bring this up to establish that I think I see a pattern. On June 13th, there was opposition to the proclamation for Pride Month. What I heard through the wording that was delivered was the singling out of the LGBTQIA community and suggesting that through this proclamation, somehow we are creating a divide as we accuse the other people of McHenry County of serious crimes against us. I felt that you were erasing the experience that we have because you yourself have not had those experiences. As is the case, I do feel that your thoughts on the matter really should not have effect on proclamations for issues you know nothing of. You can't help it. You only know what you know. I realize that you and other people may not have the experiences that I have had in the last 2-3 years, where I had to report my neighbors to the Cary Police Department. So on that note, I invite you to a private Facebook group that I created if you have genuine
Summarize your
intent
comments,
to
please,
learn and grow. There are members of the LGBTQ community and people of color that are opening their hearts to you, and all your questions are welcome.
Diane Weltmeyer, did you wish to speak? Arnie Weltmeyer, do you wish to speak? Catherine Spangler?
Chairman, point of order, we've reached 30 minutes.
Yeah, one more after Ms. Spangler. Does any member wish to make a motion to extend time? Ms. Meshes makes the motion. Ms. Altoff seconds. All in favor say aye. Aye. Against? Motion carries. Go ahead, ma'am.
Hello, I'm Catherine Spangler. I've lived in McHenry County for 13 years, and I'm a United States Air Force veteran. I served in the 90s from 94 to 98. I was honorably discharged. I'm the daughter of a U.S. Marine Corps vet and the sister of an Army veteran who was honorably discharged in the 90s as well. My dad was also a Baptist minister, so I think that those things are important as identity markers. I'm here just to speak into the issue about the Pride Proclamation and to say that I think that it's important to remember that specifically because I served during Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and it was President Bill Clinton's very dangerously aggressive edict that people were dishonorably discharged under that edict, and when they went out into the civilian sector and they tried to get work and they couldn't, a lot of them were homeless. And there's an epidemic still with veterans today, even if they didn't see combat. 22 veterans a day take their own life. So when you marginalize people and you push them out, and then they're in the wilderness, they're out there. You didn't want us in your schools. You didn't want us in your churches. You didn't want us in your families. So we made community outside, and you don't like that now either. And that's what these attempts smack of, to erase and to stifle and subjugate. And I find it incredibly odd that in a meeting like this, we pledge allegiance, and the very last words are liberty and justice for all. But you get to decide that military members they're now accepted in the military, and they could go and fight and die for this country, but they come back and they're erased by you. And that's just really wild to me, and I think you really need to reflect on that. I really, really do.
Walter Moist.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. I come before you as a lifelong McHenry County resident. I am a Catholic. I am a Marine. I am the father to a trans child, and I am queer. I am a byproduct of the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policies of the 90s from when I served, but I am proud of my service, make no mistakes. No disrespect, Pastor, if you're still here, but I really want to make a couple of things clear. Your God is not my God. Your readings and interpretations of the teaching of Christ are yours, not mine. I deserve freedom from the misguided, nefarious insinuations. My overtness holds no less weight than anyone else. Into my rights and into what I am entitled as a human being. This county has been an overt bastion of racism, bigotry, and discrimination for as long as I can remember. Whether it be little rocks with Nazi symbols left on the end of my driveway, to burned flags at the bottom of my steps. Discrimination based on racism, on religion, on race, on wealth, and on orientation is prevalent throughout this county. It is there. I have lived it for 45 years. No amount of whitewashing is going to fix these issues. When I look around this room, I see a whole lot of old and I see a whole lot of white. Only inclusion is going to fix these issues. Inclusion of people who do not look like us, people who do not believe as you do, inclusion on the fact that we are all human beings. We all deserve a life free of harassment, judgment, and hate. Christians, you guys get your Pride months twice a year. It's called Christmas and Easter. Last time I checked, Jesus didn't own a credit card. It begins after Halloween. We ask for the right to be proud in who we are. We ask the right to walk down the street and have the same respect as you. We believe that we deserve equal footing as the same people who believe in chemtrails, as lizard people, and those who will subvert the Constitution by knocking on Congress's door. We deserve those rights as human beings. We live on Indian land, ancestral lands of the Sauk, the Winnebago, the Ho-Chunk, the Fox.
You could summarize your comments, sir.
Sure. Those ancestral nations believed in two spirits. They believed in the divine of the masculinity and the feminine as one. And to overtly say that we're being discriminated against goes contrary to the nefarious innuendo that we experience every single day. I think it's terrible that you did the vote before public comment. I believe that all of our voices deserve equal rights. And I thank you for your time.
That concludes our public comment portion of the meeting. We'll move on to appointments. I'll entertain a motion to approve the appointments to the McHenry County Board of Health and the Lake and the Hills Sanitary District as of June 18th, 2024. Mr. Scala makes the motion. Ms. Von Bergen seconds. Clerk, could you, or is there any discussion? Seeing none, clerk, could you open the voting, please? Voting is open. Have all voted who wish?
Mr. Sager, how would you like to be shown?
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Do any standing committee chairpersons or liaisons have updates for us tonight? Mr. Reinert?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, if you would accommodate me under 13 new and unfinished business, possibly I could fit that under this. But under 10B1, the nicest, I was out of town, called out for my daughters. They treated me to a trip to go visit my daughter for Father's Day. And although I supported this, I was led to believe that this was a public affair and that also this was with crowds from the public that inundated this neighborhood. I was unable to verify that. I did support it Thursday, but I voted no against this. I was wondering if we could bring this up as a point of reconsideration tonight. I did vote no for it.
You voted no, you can do that.
You make a motion?
I would like to make a motion to reconsider the nicest vote.
I'll second it.
Good luck.
Okay, so you make the motion, Mr. Hendricks. Is seconded. This is debatable, so is there any further comment on this particular motion? Ms. Altoff?
I understand the need to reconsider, and I too was moved by many of the comments and would hope that we continue to work with the applicant. I think my concern again is the comments from the hearing officer about the 7 days, and that is and has always been my vast concern, is that it's 7 days in total. Understand about the crowds, understand it was private. But the concern is that you're impacting all of the residents around that property for 7 days, and I think that's an extraordinarily long period of time to affect a neighborhood, a large area. So I would just have people consider, and again, the negative recommendation from our staff. Thank you.
Ms. Greeno?
Mine is for a Ethics Committee report.
All right, we'll come back. We got a motion on the table. Ms. Meshes?
Thanks. So I voted no on this tonight. And part of why I voted no is because ultimately I decided that I needed to take the expertise of our staff. So originally I'm thinking about this, and it was brought up when I listened to the hearing that how is this different from a party? So I host parties that are regularly more than 56 people. I mean, not regularly, but monthly, maybe. It used to be monthly before COVID. And I don't need a permit for that. I don't need a permit for that, for a party of that size. I actually don't need it seemed from a different discussion, I don't need a permit for any party as long as it's my friends and family. And in the hearing that was brought up, that how is this different from a party? And ultimately the answer was that our zoning ordinance officer, I'm kind of looking at our PD chairs, is that the name of the
Point of order. We're supposed to be debating whether we should be re-voting on this or not about the motion itself.
Oh.
We have to vote to
Oh, okay, fine.
reconsider first. And
Then we can discuss it. All right, fine.
Point taken. Ms. Campbell?
No, because I was, sorry.
Ms. Van Hoff?
Yes, thank you for, John, for asking this to be brought up again. I was really moved by it, and I did vote for it, and I will again.
Okay. Seeing no further discussion, clerk, could you open the voting on the motion to reconsider?
Okay, this is only the vote for the motion.
Correct. Voting is open. Need a majority vote on this item. Have all voted who wish?
Mr. Sager, how would you like to be shown?
No.
Motion carries. So we will go back to that original item 10B1. I will entertain a motion to approve. Ms. Meshes makes the motion. Mr. Kearns seconds. Discussion. Ms. Meshes.
Thank you. All right, so for clarification, when I was thinking of whether I'm gonna vote yes or no to this, because I wanted to vote yes in my thought about how to look at this, but I ultimately voted no because it seemed to me that I should respect the professionalism of our zoning ordinance officer who said this is an event that needed to be permitted, even though in my mind it is the same as a party. And I didn't reach out to Adam's office or PD office about the discrepancy on that because there's also going to be a whole year. We were told at the COW that this is going to be put forth a year later from now. So I don't know if you want to comment on that.
Sure. So there's a couple of aspects that trigger the permit. The camping, it's all based on the different activities. So camping is certainly going to be one of them. That would be, probably the biggest piece of it. In terms of the other productions, I'm a little flat-footed and, and some of the other details that that got us to the actual temporary use. I can tell you that I've studied a lot more of what happened in the transcripts and what's transpired during the hearings. So, but the camping is the biggest one that we have that And the reason I bring that up, and I guess circle back to it, is because it's multi-jurisdictional. So it's the Illinois Health Department, IDPH, the local health department, and then following the standards that are listed in the Unified Development Ordinance.
So there, I mean, as Renee or Ms. Overhill had said on Thursday, this is the first step in their process. They still have to get approval from everybody else.
Correct. So this is just the entitlement and the right to actually have that event. The particulars that would formulate the actual event there's still some outstanding items.
And do they need this approval in order to go forward?
Yes.
On those, they can't, they're dead without this. They're dead and planning this for 2025 without this approval now.
Correct. You know, they did amend their application to be FY25, so there's still time to kind of work through those details, and that's what the intent is really to get it right, you know, from the applicant's perspective.
Thank you.
Mr. Gottemoller?
Yes, on contrary to Ms. Altoff, my seatmate here, I look at 7 days in a year from now, and candidly, that's plenty of time to deal with any of those issues that you might have. As far as a 1 week event, honestly, they could probably do without a request 3 days, a day off, 3 days, a day off, and 3 days, a day off, because we allow 9 days a year. We just don't allow them consecutive. And it seems to me that this is a one-of-a-kind event. I don't see this suddenly being everywhere in the county. I wouldn't want to necessarily change all of our ordinances to make 7 days be the day instead of 3. But I don't think this is an overwhelming thing. I voted for it the first time. I'll vote for it again. I would remind people that we do need 14 votes. So the 5 people that voted no to rehear this, I hope 2 of you think about it.
Ms. Campbell?
Okay, so so getting back to the questions in terms of 2025, so information was provided today that would actually change some of the things that were asked for in this particular permit request, which is that the idea that a helicopter would not be brought in, a couple of other things that were discussed, and additional information that we just didn't have prior to. So good information, but again, I know I voted no partly because we have a hearing officer who looked at all of the information, and based on our rules and the event itself, it did not pass, and he voted no. If this is not going on until 2025, what is the harm in having the applicant come back, obviously waiving fees or whatever, because they've already been through the process, and provide the information, the updated information about what this event looks like? You had additional people who were in support of the event, including the neighbors that was not present at the time that the hearing officer made his decision. I'm just wondering, does that slow them down for next year, since they're not doing it until next year anyway? I mean, at least then we have all the information up front. It's not a promise. It's like, we won't do this, but they will. I know you wouldn't, but I'm just saying you would have the information in front of us so that we could be making a decision based on what is being committed to and not what is being offered as a possibility. No.
From the staff's perspective, I don't believe there would be, I'm scanning here on the bottom of the code just to verify that there's not an actionable time frame in which the county board needs to act on it, and similar to other zoning petitions. I mean, it would be part of the variations. So it's going to be 180 days. So there is time, if the board so chooses, to go in that direction. In terms of permit applications, we have several that we're waiting and collecting information outside of direction from the board, that petitions or applications, I should say, that don't come here. So file management, it would be something that we would be able to do and work through the particulars if that's the challenge that the board puts towards the department.
Okay, and we have a guarantee there's no helicopter?
It would be to a date certain, based, but we still need to undo the vote.
Thank you.
Mr. Smith?
Yeah, thank you. I had a question about the technical aspect of us, as this board sitting here in 2024, voting on something that's going to happen in 2025. when, with the elections coming around this year, and there'll be a different board setting here at the time we're approving something, and there'll be a different board. Is there any concern there? Maybe I need to get Norm's attention on that. Yeah, I seen you were talking. Okay.
I think we're talking about your question.
Okay, well, we're voting on something that's gonna happen in 2025, and this board may or may not, members of this board may or may not be here after the election. It'll be a different board.
Right.
And
Well, here, yeah, and here's the thing. With this zoning petition, you can do the motion to reconsider at the same meeting, but not after that. By doing the motion to reconsider, and Kyle, you correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, by doing the motion to reconsider and it passed, you've basically gone back to neutral at this point. So we believe that what you could do is then bring a motion to postpone this vote to a date certain within the 180-day time frame, and I'm not sure when that would expire, but you could basically continue it to a date certain to have it voted on again at that point.
Maybe stick with this board.
Yeah, yes.
so then, a date certain, 6 months from now would be in December, the new board would be here.
Well,
I don't know the technicality of the.
Or you do it a date certain prior to that new board being seated.
Okay. But we're still voting on something that's gonna happen the following year when there's a new board here.
That's true.
Is that technically correct?
Yeah, it sounds, yeah, because they're planning the event in 2025, as I understand it.
Okay.
That date certain would be from the time of the hearing officer's recommendation that would come from the board. So that clock goes back, I believe that was a May hearing.
So it'd be in November at some point. It would be before the new board were seated.
Okay, so technically, we can vote on something that's not gonna happen until the new board's seated.
Sure, you could, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it happens all the time. Think of your budget. Your budget
Yeah.
is something that you
Okay.
vote on before that new board.
That was my question. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yep.
Mr. Sager?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I have no question about the fact that this is a very worthwhile event and activity, and that, as many of the speakers indicated, that there is a true benefit to this particular experience for those who do participate. And so I have no question about that, and I truly appreciate what the petitioner is trying to do and interested in doing. I still fall back upon my primary concern about the length of time, which is significantly different than what our ordinance does provide. It is true that we can ask for a variation on that, and so then my other concern has to do with associated noise, because I think if we recognize the fact that this property is in the middle of a residential area within the middle of a municipality, then we do have to think about the rights to those members who are also surrounding this particular area, to their opportunity to enjoy a quality of life without dramatic impact in terms of noise. So if the petitioners can, consider the fact that noise associated with loud music or bands or something like that is not going to prevent other neighbors from enjoying their rights to enjoy their property as well, then I think it's a different story. But that's something that I have a concern about. And so I just put that on the table right now. I have personally no problems with the question of postponing this till time specific in the future, as we might be able to garner further information. Thank you, Chairman.
Ms. Campbell?
So I guess I just want clarification on that. So in order to do that, allow them time to make the adjustments, because some information was provided that some in terms of maybe the length of the time, the helicopter and a few other things. What is the process at this point? We've already have a motion on the table, right? And then open it up to the other? Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Gottemeller?
I'll make the motion to continue. But I would make it to a date certain of, well, November is the last date it can be this year. Is that's, I'm sorry, what day? November 19th.
We have a motion to reconsider that.
We already, now we have a motion to approve after reconsideration.
Yeah, but we can postpone it now. We've done it before.
Do you want, so rather than, so do we have to do a motion, do we vote on the current motion and decline it?
Because you would either approve or deny first, and the idea is to not take that vote now, then we would continue to a date certain.
I'm gonna allow it. So we're
I was just
gonna
gonna explain it,
postpone
that's
to a
all.
date certain to the November meeting.
I'll second it.
Okay, in that case, make it October.
October.
Yeah, okay. Whatever the October date meeting is, sorry, I don't have the calendar in front of me.
Yeah, postpone to a date certain, to October 15th, 2024. That's Mr. Gottemeyer's motion, correct?
Yes.
Seconded by Mr. Smith. Any discussion on postponing? Anybody whose light's on, we're going to discuss postponing. Mr. Reiner?
I understand that, thank you. And I would accept that, Mr. Gottemeyer's suggestion to change that to a date certain of September. I also
October.
think that, October, was it? And that if that's within the 180 days, that also puts this at a friendlier board, I think, too, than the wait. So I would accept that.
Mr. Kaminsky?
I can warm up to, postpone it to date certain. My question to, Mr. Adam, is this gonna have to go through planning and zoning again, planning and development, committee, to bring it to the board, or are we just gonna bring it right to the board?
No, it'll be on the board agenda for the October meeting.
Okay, so bypassing.
Under
Okay.
unfinished business. Ms. Meshes?
I'm wondering if we know what questions we want them to answer for us by October. So I thought that this is the first step and there are other steps, and they can't do the other steps unless this is approved. So I'm not sure what other questions they're gonna be able to answer for us before October.
Keep your mic on there, Adam.
Sorry about that. You mean in terms of the IEPA and the camping and all the other particulars? I don't want to speak for you, but I believe that information's out there, that you guys you understand what's left after this. And I would have said it confidently, but I don't want to speak just totally on their behalf. And we can work with them, just to make sure.
Okay, all right, so there's something that we're gonna do, and then that I'm not gonna do, but something that's gonna be done before October that gives us new information.
There's not many events like this, so it's got our
Right.
attention.
All right, okay, thank you.
Mr. Scala?
My comment is very similar to Teresa's. I guess I have a real hard time postponing this when the people that voted against this are potentially still gonna vote against it. I mean, you need 14 votes, and I think it's cruel and unusual punishment to put a person going through the exercise of figuring everything out and then come back to a board who's still gonna vote no. That seems asinine to me. I don't know why in the Yankee we would postpone it if we don't have 14 votes to pass it. And I really have a hard time understanding what they're gonna do or what Adam's gonna do that's gonna change people's minds. I mean, I think you're setting them up for failure, and that's concerning to me. You're giving them hope that if they jump through all the hoops, suddenly people are gonna vote yes that voted no. I have a real hard time with that. I think if you feel strongly that this is something that should happen in our county, then you would vote yes. And whether it's 3 months, 4 months, 5 months from now, I don't know what changes that. I mean, realistically, we could vote yes, and if they can't meet the requirements that the county has for them, they can't do it, regardless of what we think. I just have a real hard time with this.
Mr. Kearns.
You know, Mr. Scala put it perfectly right there, because it's gonna give them time. The only thing it will do good is give them some time to convince those no votes. However, they got a long hill to climb, and again, we have a member missing right now that's not on, and that's an automatic no, because our 3/4 still has to be on the total of 18 members at that time. So I agree with Mr. Scala. We are setting them up for a big failure here unless they are really good salespeople to those no votes.
Ms. Altoff.
Well, being one of those no votes, I would certainly have a completely different perspective on the issue if I had guarantees working with my staff about helicopters, about noise, and about everything that you said this evening. So I don't think that's failure. I think that's the ability of me to look at individuals in my neighborhood and say, we did everything we possibly could to minimize your concerns. And I don't believe, after listening to all of these individuals this evening, that they won't do that. So I think that by giving you the opportunity in that period of time to work with staff and be able to come back and enumerate everything that's done, that's been agreed to, certainly gives me a completely different perspective on my no vote. So that's the only response I'll give to the hope. I believe in hope.
Ms. Campbell.
All right, thank you, and I appreciate Member Altuff for saying that, because I think that's exactly what it is. It's about getting that commitment, about working with staff, and agreeing to the things that were already just said here in public comment, and getting that set up. I would be a yes vote in, when we set that down the line. So to assume that all the no votes are going to stay no, we're postponing it to specifically address those concerns and say that we've addressed them, just like Member Altuff has said. So I would be a yes if they're met.
Mr. Sagar.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I agree wholeheartedly with my colleagues, Ms. Campbell and Ms. Altoff. I think the fact of the matter is that petitioners can do a lot to work to mitigate concerns, and I think giving them this extra time might provide that opportunity to mitigate. I'm going to uphold, though, my primary concern is noise. And so if they will keep that in mind and there's efforts to do that, I would be more than happy to consider the issue again. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, seeing no further comment, clerk, could you open the voting on this motion to postpone to October 15th, 2024?
Voting's open.
Voting is open. Have all voted who wish?
Submit button? Thank you.
Mr. Sagar, how would you like to be shown?
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay, now, standing committee chairperson and liaison updates. Does anyone have one for us? Mr. Gottemoller.
At our last Administrative Services Committee meeting, we did vote out a series of rule changes Those should be coming your way in emails in the near future. Those rule changes have to be published, I think, 14 days before I have a meeting, which is why they're not on today's agenda. If you have changes or things that you see in those or have questions about them, either contact me, any of the other board members, and we'll be glad to talk about why we got to where we're at.
Ms. Von Bergen?
Thank you. So I attended the Board of Health Committee meeting last week and am pleased to report that the removal of fees for food pantries is progressing. The necessary ordinance changes were proposed to the committee and will be presented to us at a later date. In the meantime, I want to thank Melissa Adamson for handling the administrative responsibilities under which her existing authority waived all of the fees for the food pantries until we approve the ordinance changes. Thank you.
Ms. Greeno?
Yes, last Thursday at 3 was the Ethics Commission meeting, and they reviewed the ordinances and have determined to add all candidates for public office to be held by the ethics rules that are currently applied to those who are holding public office, thereby employees of the county. So this is significant and valid and levels the playing field in accountability for any potential violations regarding county resources or coercing county employees to do things on their behalf for campaigns. I thought it was quite astute and a great progress. Thank you.
Okay, seeing no further updates or reports, we'll move on to the routine consent agenda. Do any members have items they'd like to remove from the consent agenda? Seeing none, clerk, could you open we'll entertain a motion. Mr. Scala makes the motion to accept the routine consent agenda. Mr. Kunkel seconds.
I would like 16B62, is that part of it?
If it's on the consent agenda, I would say yes. 16B, what? Speaker forever hold your peace. Okay, so we will, I'll entertain a motion to approve the routine consent agenda, less item 16B62. Mr. Scala makes that motion. Mr. Kunkel seconds. And clerk, could you open the voting, please?
Voting is open.
Voting is open. Have all voted who wish?
Mr. Sager, how would you like to be shown?
Yes.
Motion carries. Next, I will entertain a motion to approve item 16B62. Ms. Campbell makes the motion. Ms. Meshes seconds. Discussion, Mr. Kaminsky.
Since transportation's not here, Pete, maybe you can help me out on it. On that 2050 plan, about a quarter way through, it had in there where we were talking, it was referring to charging stations. Is the county gonna be spending any money to promote that? I know I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah,
They're not here.
I think, they aren't here, and I'm gonna just acknowledge that, but I think that I'm not anticipating that the county is going to be putting in charging stations, other than for our own fleet at some point, right? You see municipalities doing this in the downtown areas, is trying to lure people into downtown, but I would not anticipate that the county is gonna put in, just charging
I
stations.
didn't mean to
Okay.
put you on the spot. Closest one that would know. I'm cool, let's go.
All right, seeing no further comment on this item, clerk, could you open the voting, please?
Voting's open.
Voting is open. Have all voted who wish?
Mr. Sager, how would you like to be shown?
Yes.
Motion carries. No ordinances. Pete, you got a report for us tonight?
Quick, last night I accepted the invitation along with Suzanne and Scott Hartman to attend a special Board of Health meeting where we spent a good part of an hour talking about the county compensation program, and it's really good questions, good insightful dialogue. I don't think, we're not changing anything because of that, but it was a really good dialogue and more to come, So I just appreciated the opportunity to talk. And I also note that Alicia has finished updating the strategic plan report card, so it's there for you. That's all. Thanks.
All right, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Scala makes the motion. Mr. Kaminsky seconds. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Against, have a good night.
Aye.